Hello and welcome to another Solidworks tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to see how we could design something like this. This is a gearbox for a car engine. So we have here two gears, so first gear and second gear. It's an assumption there's two gears, but you could add the third, fourth and fifth gear and so on. So the whole idea of this video tutorial is not to teach you about gearbox, but to teach you about how you could create gears and selectors and so on. So before that, I just want to give you a quick insight into how this gear works, or this system works. So what we have here is, if I move this outside, got a few gears. So that red part, or the red shaft, is connected to the engine, and this shaft is connected to the gearbox. Of course, this is connected to gear sets, and they have different ratios. So the whole idea is we wanted to get some sort of different speeds at different time. So this is how it works. This gear, it's a one piece. Is sitting on a bearing, and the bearing is sitting onto the shaft. So what it means is when this shaft rotates, it has no effect on this gear because of that bearing. So the bearing will spin, but not necessarily this gear will spin. So we have another one more gear set which will synchronize everything. So it's like this. And this yellow part is a crucial part, and what it does is it will got these gears, internal gears, which which meshes on those gears. So this will come and mesh to this gear like so. And the idea is when the engine speed rotates, this gear will rotate at exactly the same speed as the engine. Okay. And the way this works is, now we have this selector which will mesh to those gears, and I'll show you how you actually made this properly later on. And this is free to slide in and out, but will spin at exactly the same speed as that shaft. So what happens is, if you want to engage with this gear, this selector will shift in place, and this synchronizer will synchronize this so that they are all lined up, and this will engage. Now the engine is connected to this yellow part. The yellow part is connected to the selector, and this selector is connected to this gear, which means now the speed of the engine or that shaft will apply to that gear, and we get the desired gear ratio. So that's the first gear. So I'm assuming that's gear 1, and of course this does exactly the same thing. So that's gear number 2. And when you want to select, this will slide into this gear, and now this gear is engaged, whereas this gear is spinning on the bearing. Okay, so that's the idea. So the idea of this video is really how to create these gears. And I'll show you really a simple way. Not necessarily this is the only way, but this is one simple way of creating those gears. Okay, so the first thing in SolidWorks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want new. I don't want to start with part, but I'll start with assembly. So this is one way of actually doing your gears, which is the easiest way. And you say OK. SolidWorks will start with asking you to bring in an assembly or a part. You say no. And what we do is we go to design, toolbox, add in now, and I'll go to ISO, power, transmission, gears, and I'll bring in a gear, a spur gear. So there you go. There is a spur gear, and the modular is, I'll choose 1. The number of the gear teeth, in this case I'll choose maybe 33. so slightly smaller. 12 is good. 15 the diameter of the shafts. Okay, I'm happy with that configuration. So I've got something in here, so which is nice. So gear, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place in on top of this another gear. So I'm going to go in here, same thing. I'll just bring another one. This time I would choose the number of gears, maybe, I don't know, to 36, slightly bigger. So you could see this is slightly bigger than the previous one. And here the size maybe 2.5. Yeah, that's good. So you could see, and we don't want this. So we don't want this gear, so I click delete, yes. So what I could do is I could say mate that face with that face. That's very good. And I could say mate that face with that face. That's just perfect. Okay, so the gear need to be slightly bigger. Yeah. So you could see we could check now our gear system. But in your case, you have to decide the number of gears, or the number of not gears, the number of tools that you need to create. So in this case, I'll do right click, edit the tool component, and I'll say maybe 40. 40 is a little bit too much for me, so maybe I could go to 38. Yes, that's a lot better. Okay, that looks well, I think 38 is good. Okay, so you decide the gear. So the most important part is this gear. This is the one which is going to mesh. Yeah, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. Okay, so right click and delete. Right, delete. Okay, yes to all. Okay, now that's done. That's very good. So I'm happy with that. So what we could do is we could copy these profiles. Yeah. And one way of copying this profile is actually to create the gear in assembly, or you could create the gear in outside. But anyway, I'm going to do it here within assembly. So I'm going to make a new part. So I'm going to say new part based on that face. And I'm going to say park this nicely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say convert entity and convert me as a chain that face, this face, the face that you are looking at, the outside face. So this outside face will be converted into a sketch. So, and then I'm going to say exit. In fact, I'm going to switch off this so that you could see what I've just converted. So if I say hide, there you go. That's what I've done. I've just literally copied that face. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to go back to this drawing because it's switched off. I'll do right click, edit, so that it's back on now. It's blue means it's active. Then I go to features, then I say extrude based on the extrusion based on this sketch. So you need to open this tree, select that, and I'm going to say 2.5. Or you could say 2. There you go. Now you might ask me, why am I doing it this way? Because later on, in case if you change the size of this gear, then of course the changes will affect onto this drawing as well. Yeah, because we are effectively copying the faces of this gear. So that's the beauty with this. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So that's one part. So remember what we've just done. So if I say show the component, so what we've done is we just copied this. Yeah, so I'm starting to build my own gear by copying the gear from SolidWorks. Okay, so I need to continue because we need to build this part. And to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this again, right click, edit this part. This time I'm going to say sketch on that face, park it nicely again. And I'm going to copy again. So what I'm going to do is convert entity. This time I'm going to say convert that face. So select chain that face as the whole face into a sketch for me. So can you see that it's on that? So I'm quite happy with that. Okay. So now what I could do is I could say features, extrusion, extrude this by 10. Don't know why it's not selecting, but I'll type in 10. Okay, so remember, this is one new part which I could open it into a new folder once I finished. So right click, open this to a new folder. There's the gearbox, or the gear that I'm creating. Okay, there's a few things that I need to do to this gear. Either I could do it here or I could do it in assembly. It doesn't really matter. So if I want to do it here, I'll say I want to sketch where on the face, and what I want to do is I want to draw a circle from here somewhere in there. Okay, somewhere in there, and I'll call this, it's 18. I'm sorry, so maybe I could put 38. That's it. Maybe 37. Yeah, so you need to, okay, I'm happy with 37. And then I'm going to draw another circle. Sorry, there's two of them, so I need to delete one. Oh no, there's only one, sorry. So I need to, oh, there's this small one, sorry, this is the small. I want to make it bigger, slightly bigger than the other circle. And the idea is when I say cut extrude, you look at anything in between. So there is the gear that's I've designed. So now I could come back and say this is 37.5 if I want to make it bigger. And I'll say yes. Now, what is the beauty with doing it this way? Can you see that it's highlighted here again? Anytime I change these gears, that the changes will also affect my gear in general. So what's the advantage of doing it this way? You see, these gears, the gear that I've designed, will be based on this gear. So anytime I change the gear in there, it will have an effect on these gears. That's really the only advantage, because it's a convert entity. So I converted everything. So right now it's 33 teeth. So I could make this, I don't know, what shall we put, like 27, just to show you. See, anything that happens here, it will have an effect on this, and that's the beauty of doing it this way. Yet this is a different part, so it's a new part that relies on these gears that we copied from SolidWorks. So that's the advantage, really. Okay, so I've done this gear. One final thing to this gear is to have those hollow things. So I will open this up again, right click, edit the parts, sketch on the face, park this nicely, convert entity, and what we want to convert is this. So it's slightly difficult to hold on to this now because it's not happy to go. There you go. So you have to make sure you move from different angle to get that, and you say yes, and then you exit the sketch, futures, cut all the way. Okay, so there you go. And then you say yes. Now there's this part we need to update, and I'm going to say right click, open this into a new part, which we have. It's not saved, so I will save this into gear number 1 or whatever gear. But anyway, so the main thing is we created a gear. But you also have to remember, for the next gear that we are going to create will be based on this face as well. So the way to do this is, first of all, I'm going to save this. So I save this as gear 1. So just remember, this is the first gear. Okay, so far so good. Right. So we jump onto our design, and this time what we could do is we want to design those the other parts. So the idea is we created this gear, which is this I should have created spur gear. Yeah. Okay. So the next part is this the synchronizer. So how you create this part. So if I move this, see, these are fairly straightforward. So now we haven't created this, so I need to create this part on that face, and of course the next part is going to be straightforward. Okay, so let's create this part. So you're okay now in terms of creating this. Maybe I need to make this more gears there. You see, this is the beauty now, because this is based on the Solidworks gear. I could change anytime, and any change I made to those gears will affect my gear design. So this is one way of designing, a quick way actually of designing your gear. Okay, so now I'm going to switch off this. Okay, I'm just going to hide them. Okay, and the reason I'm going to hide this is because we need to design the other parts here. Right, it's easy. So first thing what we do is we open and have a look at this. So where did we design? So if I park this first of all nicely. So shall we design on the top or on the right? So this is the choice we have. So I'm going to say right click, edit the part. I'm going to save. So right click, edit the part. Well, you keep on saying. So I'm going to say save in there, no problem. And I'm going to right click. So the first thing is, this is how it was. So you do right click, edit the parts, and then this comes live because it's blue and anything else is black. And so we choose the right plane and say I want to sketch on that plane. So I'm looking at that plane and normal too. Maybe I want to see the other side. Okay. So remember, the idea is to design that component on, if you look at this way, on that face. Okay, on that face. So it's not that difficult. And the way we do this is, now we are on that face, we say park this nicely, and I'm going to do it this way. maybe see-through. Okay, and what's crucial here is that you remember these numbers. So we go all the way up, we come back somewhere. I don't want to anchor it to a specific point. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to join this. And remember, you got to remember these numbers. So here we have 16. So I'll just put 16 as a full number. And this maybe 3. And that, sorry, not that. This straight 2.5. You cannot do the angle now. It's yeah. Or if you want to do the angle, not this. So you need to do one of them, either the angle or the distance, up to you. So we could make this 50. So remember, this is 3, that's 50, that's 16, exit, revolve on that face, say yes. Okay, are you happy? Because I am happy with that shape. The only thing is the cut. And what we could do is we could go and do a cut, another cut, or I'm going to show you another trick here. We could bring the cut down. That's better. So I'm quite happy. So on that design, what we have is we got a sketch on that plane, and we design this. This is not important, yeah. So for you guys, for the exercise that you got to do for the classroom, you don't have to do this. But you know, you could design something like this. So it'll be better even for you guys to go to the workshop and get a gearbox before you do this exercise, and to see how the real gear is actually designed. Okay, so you could do something like this: exit, cut, extrude, definitely not all the way, maybe by 2, or let's say something wrong with my mouse, 3. I'm happy with that. So you could do something like this, because if you look at this design, that's what we have. Okay, I'm more or less happy with that design, and so what we do is we exit, right click, open into a new part, save this part. There you go. So you could see how quickly you could design something. Okay, moving on. This time I'm going to show the components, the other components. What we are going to do is we need to save this work as well, because it's important. We want to design these parts, and now the crucial part with this is designing this part is easy, but that angle, now remember the angle need to sit nicely in there. That's the key. So to do this, again, I'm going to continue in this design, in this place. I'm going to go to new part, and the new part could be based on, again, on that face. I have to be slightly careful, because okay, let's do it on that face. I might be confusing you. So I'm going to right click, and sorry, not right click, just click and hide this, and I'm back to square one. Okay, so park nicely, convert, chain and that face. Remember which face? That face. So I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to say the rest of this, the rest of this could be hidden because we don't need them. I copied this. If you remember, I went and created a circle, and that circle, if I am right, it was 17. So which circle are we talking about? Let's see. I am talking about not this drawing, but in this drawing we created this cut, and that cut was based on 37.5. Okay, so that's what I need to know. So in here I'm going to say this is going to be 37.5. That's very good. Okay, now in here I deleted all those lines, remember. In reality I don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I am going to say exit the sketch, extrude based on this sketch, but the profile I'm going to choose is this. You see, the key to this is that this contours. And 3, no, I don't want 3. Maybe it is going to be 2, maybe even 1, I don't know. So there it is. So what we have done is, if I minimize this and bring this up, I've just created that part. So now I need to create this, but you just have to remember that is 50 and the height was 16. Okay, so I need to choose the right plane. So I'm coming here and say show me this. The right plane would be the right one in this case, or I'm looking for the right face. Right click, sketch, park this nicely. Okay, and just to make things better, I'm going to do it this way. I am going to draw a line from center going out somewhere, and I'm coming back. Now that could be anchored. Yeah, it is an anchor. So if you get something like this, if the dimension says I'm sorry I cannot do the dimension, or yeah, something like this, if you get this, it means this thing, when you clicked, let me just make this bigger. Sorry, when you click on this line, this you anchored it. So you have to make sure you delete that anchor point. And now this is 16. Now I have to make it slightly smaller because we cannot have a perfect fit. So this will be 15 point something like 9. No, not 9, maybe 8. The angle is 50. That is 3. So I'm quite happy with that. And we exit, revolve on that line. That's good. So this will sit in onto that face. Sorry, right now it's not going to sit because this is slightly different, but we need to do a few more things. What can we do? Can we do something? No, let's just do it a normal way, slightly longer, but it does the job. So right in there, park it nicely. So I'm doing exactly the same thing. This time I am going to draw. Yeah, actually I made a mistake. The mistake I made is I need to come out of this. This need to be slightly bigger, a lot bigger actually. Not 16, but maybe 17. That's it. That's what I was supposed to do. And exit. Now I'm going to say sketch based on that right plane. This time I'm going to say convert entity, and I'm going to convert that sketch. Say yes. And I'm going to say show me all the relationships, and I'm going to break these relationships. And the reason is because I'm going to reduce this size. So I'm going to say this is going to be 50, but that height is going to be, now we could do 15.8. It moved from here up, so we do right click and say anchor this, but that should be 15.8. Perfect. And this time what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go this way out, this way, and I'm going to delete this line actually. Yes. Now can you see what I've done? I went all the way out, and it will just make sense now when you see this. Sorry, not cut extrude, cut revolve. Perfect. So we know how to create this, we know how to create this. Yeah. And we say okay. So remember, within this assembly, so I come out of this and right click, show the components. So we created two parts. They're on top of each other. It doesn't really matter. That's because they got in place mates. The in place mates is, and I'm going to do right click. This part should be this. And when I say mate, that face with that face, so they're a center. Perfect. When you say mate that face with that face. Now if I actually say yes, if I cut this into half, not quite happy. That's not what I planned. This is not sitting nicely. Okay, so what we need to do is this shape need to come out. That 50 degrees should start from that point, that's all. Okay. Okay, rebuild and save. Saving is very important. These are all internal parts, but later on we'll open them. So if I open this back, that revolve, edit. Sorry, in fact, what I'm going to do is exit. And if we go and park this nicely, don't worry about this orientation. And what we want to do is we want to start the 50 this way. And really, this should be also in line with this. So, okay. Didn't expect this, but there you go. First, I need to move this. So maybe what we could do is right click, add relationship, this guy with this line, and is collinear. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to say from that line, I'm going to go here, delete this, and make sure this line is 50 degree. And this line should be straight. And maybe we need to bring this out. There you go. One more thing, make sure that line is perfect. I'm happy with that. And when you say exit, that's we got some error. So we delete that. Net. And when we do half, yeah, we got small, I did small still overlap. So that 15 should be slightly bigger, not smaller. Of course, it should be bigger. Silly me. Yeah. That should be 16.1. So it's slightly bigger because it sits on top, not underneath. So if I go back, now you could see. That's perfect. So we know how to design those two parts. We save the work, keep on saving. And finally, which part are we going to design? Well, this part is far easier than any other part. Okay, so we know what to do with this one as well. Okay. So you see, everything is based on these two gears, and anytime you want to change the gear, that it is possible. That's the beauty with this method of designing. Okay, so I need to design one more part, which is that's going to sit in here. So I'm going to say new parts. That's going to sit in here. At this time, I'm going to say park nicely. Convert entity. What entity? Ah, sorry. Of course, what entity? See, it's pointless doing this because these two parts are switched off, so we need to show them. Ah, it's on this side. Okay. Well, we don't have to actually. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to show you something. In this case, remember this profile is copied from this gear. So what we could do is on this design, we could copy the profile of this. So if any change happens to this guy, the red one, it will also appear on that one. And if there's any change on this spur gear, it will affect the red ones, and everyone is interrelated. That's the idea. Okay. So this part we could say edits the parts, and also convert entity y entity. Sorry, I'm going to say sketch on the face. That's good. Convert entity. What entity is this face? Can you see that's what I've selected? Perfect. And including that, hold on, convert entity. I think what we need to do is that as a chain. Yes. And if you see all these green things, you just go to the class, switch that off. But this time I also want to convert another thing, which is this line, and I'll explain you why. So yes, now what I could do is switch everything off, hide them, and there's my design. There's only one thing that I've not done to this design, which I'll come back to later on. And now features, extrude, including this contour for now, and that contour, so the whole thing. I'm going to extrude it by 20. Slightly long. Yeah. So when I switch on this part, you could see what I've just created. And of course, there's a few things that we need to rectify. First of all, this should have this should have this profile here, which we'll come to it in a minute. Okay, so far so good. And now the question is, how can I copy that profile? That's all. This profile. So remember, this is slightly bigger. Now I need to make it slightly smaller because this is going to go inside. And by how much? It's not really that important. Okay. So I go to this part and right click, edit the part. Yeah. And I want to design something on that top plane. So right click on top plane, park it nicely. Now what I could do is I could say I want a line based on, in fact what I could do is I could come out of this, because we did everything on the right plane, so we might as well do everything on this on the right plane. So I'm going to say on the right plane, right click, and I'm going to say convert entity. What entity? And the entity belongs to this red guy, which is the cut, with the cut we've done, this sketch. Yes. Can you see what I've done? And when I bring this back, so what I literally done is I copied that object, hide this, show me all the relationships because we need to delete some of the relationship. Normal to, maybe the other way. Okay, this we anchor it because we don't want to move. Now this was 1610, but what we could do is we could actually make this 16. Make sure that is 50. That's just perfect. That's it really. Let's have a look. And it will be revolve cut based on that line. That's what we get. Okay. Update everything. Right click. So if we open this show, and if we cut this, we should be able to see some nice. I keep on making the same mistake again. This time I've chosen that, but of course I need to cut this right up there. I don't know what happened to me. Maybe it's late. Okay, let's do that. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to hide this object for now. Hide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this. I'm going to say evaluate this. What is this from there to there? And the black one is, that's not good really. Okay. So let's see how did we design this part. Show me that sketch. Okay, so that sketch only gives me that. How about the other sketch? Okay, there you go. So this is the sketch we need. So what I need to do is I need to say show me this sketch, delete this, no, hide that sketch. And I need to open this, say show the components. See, sometimes it looks like we got a lot of work, but right click, edit. And sometimes it's nice that I make these mistakes. Okay, so park this nicely. You see, I have chosen a wrong sketch. So really the sketch I was supposed to convert is that. So what I need to do is convert that sketch, and the whole of, it's difficult to get that, the whole of that sketch and that sketch. Say yes. And this sketch can be deleted. Park this nicely. Delete these points. Make sure you put this on. Now, one of the thing is, I'm not sure whether we have the size right here. If we are, that's good. Oh yeah, okay. 17. Okay, that's good. So in this case, all we got to do is make this 17.1. It's gone down, so we need to say right click, anchor this 17.1. That's better. Can you see that? That's excellent. Okay, that revolve is a problem. So we need to delete this revolve, and we need to do it again as well. cut revolve based on that. Yes, that's job done. Beautiful job. Okay, so I could say to that sketch, show, okay, now, there you go. That's excellent. The only one thing that I want to do now is open this part in a drawing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to plane. Based on that face and that face, it gives me a plane right in the middle. So I could use mirror. That's the plane to mirror. The future to mirror is this. Okay, save. And when I jump here, so all I need to do with this part is now, of course, if we look into not this part, is just create this. Okay, the gears. Of course, this gears is going to be based on, well, what we could do is okay, so I'm happy with those ones. So if I open this, right click and say show this, there you go. And if I say right click, this part should be different color so that you could see what's going on. And you could see how these three gears are sitting nicely.